thank you for being here, and I would like to introduce you to Helen, who is here today representing the Pony Club. Helen, tell us a bit about how you got involved with the Pony Club and how long you've been with them.
Well, I started riding when I was about 10. I was a non-pony owner and I rode at the local riding school. They lent me a pony for Pony Club. When I was 16, I started teaching. I worked with horses for a few years all over Europe, came back, got a proper job, but carried on.
What was the proper job?
I'm an accountant in real life. Carried on coaching for the Pony Club, and as the years went by, I became a senior coach. My children started riding. We indeed were guardians of a lovely Redwings pony at one point that did Pony Club with us. And I became more and more interested in the science of horse welfare, and that in recent years our understanding of how horses learn, how they can thrive by the way we keep them, the way we husband them, has changed, not because horses have changed, but because our ability to investigate what's best for equines has changed with modern science. We can now see how bridle fit will affect a horse because we can put sensory pads on the bridles and we can monitor the horse's nervous reaction to those. We're much more knowledgeable now about bit fitting, how bits affect a horse, and some of the disciplines are now altering their rules to match modern science. But the Pony Club is a unique organisation in that all competition disciplines have a coaching system, but the Pony Club was formed to teach children how to look after their horses. And uniquely, we have an assessment and an achievement system which concentrates just as much on the horse care side as it does on the riding side. So if you look at the Pony Club's mission statement, first and foremost, we are there to educate. We are a welfare organisation, we are a friendship organisation, and last comes competing. In the early days, the Pony Club started as part of the Institute of the Horse, and that became the British Horse Society. And then as time went on, the various disciplines set up autonomous units, as did the Pony Club, although we do work with the British Horse Society in that our senior assessments actually can give you credits towards your British Horse Society professional qualifications. We also work with the welfare organisations, so Blue Cross are very involved in our badge system and our Horse and Pony Care Championships. The World Horse Welfare provide us with resource material for how horses learn and horse welfare in general. And several of our very senior coaches, including one of our very senior assessors, actually is very heavily involved in Redwings. She was the one who introduced me to Redwings, and we are still involved with them today. So you can't escape the Pony Club, I feel. Once you're in, you're in.
I was surprised at how long it's been going. Do you want to say when that started?
Yes, well, it started between the wars because it was recognised, I think, when a lot of servicemen came back from the First World War, they recognised that young people were riding, but those old horsemen that used to be in every farm, in every mews, with the mechanisation of farming, they were being lost, and these young people weren't engaging with people with a real knowledge of how to look after their horses. Certainly in my lifetime, I've seen a change from people stabling their horses with a good horseman to very much doing their own thing with do-it-yourself livery or renting a field and doing it very much on their own. And Pony Club was set up to support those young people in their learning about welfare. That's where it came from, with what they called then the working rally, where the young people would ride their ponies to a venue for the day and receive instruction in riding and in horse care. And that's how it evolved, really.
Still very popular and still, what's the
Still,
numbers?
it is all over the world. I think there are something like 530 Pony Club members in the UK, 530,000 Pony Club members in the UK. We cover Great Britain, the whole of Great Britain. There is a branch on the Shetland Isles, there are branches in the Channel Isles. We cover the whole of Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Hong Kong, South Africa. There are Pony Club branches wherever there's a British base. There tends to be a Pony Club branch. So we've got branches in Germany, and we have a worldwide community of young people.
I know you mentioned changes there about how people stable or are sort of away from other people looking after their horse. What about competitions, and what differences are you seeing in how our perception is of how we treat a horse today than how we were when we were young?
I think what has happened is socially, people are much more aware of whether we have a social license to ride a horse. There is a groundswell of opinion, often not from a knowledgeable background, questioning whether it is good for the horse's welfare to be ridden. Now, I'm not very keen on people saying, but we've always done it like that, because just because we've always done it like that doesn't mean we should do it like that going forward. We used to send children up chimneys. You know, we don't have to carry on doing that going forward. But then horses have been ridden for thousands of years. They've been bitted and they've been shod for thousands of years. It doesn't mean that it is acceptable to carry on old practices. But what we have to make sure is that what we do does not have a detrimental effect on the horse's welfare. Nowadays we have horses that are bred specifically for a riding purpose. And in their genes is the desire to fulfil that purpose. Thinking particularly of thoroughbred racehorses. There is now a big movement to rehome thoroughbreds so that they have a useful life after racing. My family has one that raced, a Frenchman who's called Harry. And he raced. He didn't really want to be a racehorse. He's now enjoying his life, doing some dressage and a little bit of low-level riding club multi-purpose. But I think we have to be aware all the time of, is what we're doing good for the horse's welfare? Can we look at how we keep our horses? So I think we have learnt, thanks to the science, that the 3 Fs, we call them in the Pony Club, freedom, friends and forage. So horses thrive on natural feeding. They don't need a lot of artificial feed. I'm sorry if there are any feed companies here. They don't need it. They don't need it unless they're in hard work. Hard work doesn't even include the Olympics horse trials. That's still medium work. We've overfed horses for years. In some thoroughbreds, it has led to uneven bone growth because they were fed the wrong things as youngsters. There is now some research going on, I'm not a racing expert, as to whether horses should be raced later, so not until they're 3 rather than at 2, to allow their axial skeleton, which is the skeleton, the rib cage, anything that protects the organs, axial as opposed to apodectory, which is the moving bits, to allow that to develop better to prevent common problems with spinal issues. So this research goes on all the time, and it is our job as horsemen, and I feel the Pony Club, because we are training young horsemen to care for their horses, I think what I'm doing is giving a gift to every horse that child will ever own by teaching them to read the science, be up to date, take note of it. We didn't know that a tight noseband was as detrimental to horses 10 years ago as we do now. So the disciplines have changed their rules on noseband tightness. The disciplines have changed their rules and removed from use several bits that now the science tells us actually is detrimental to the horse's welfare. And we must follow that. We are so lucky that we have all this scientific research. And anybody who wants to ignore it, I don't think deserves to own a horse.
No, it's a privilege to own a horse, isn't it?
It is, and it's a huge commitment.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's a 25 plus year commitment of time, effort and money.
Emotion as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that, especially the money.
Yeah, but you know, if you can't afford to have a horse, don't have a horse.
Well, it's funny that people that see people that have horses, they think you're rich, but you're not rich because you have a horse.
Absolutely.
You don't
Absolutely.
have money. And we seem to be happy, oh, we need a rug, or we need this, or we need that. No food, then I'm going to take that away.
They just need forage. So hay, haylage, grass, chaff.
So it was interesting when we were talking to Paul earlier, who's with the NFRSA and is a behaviourist as well, saying that one of the biggest problems he sees is obesity.
Yeah.
And I know Sue Dyson and others have done a lot of research about not just the horses being overweight, but the weight of the rider on the horse. What's your view on that?
Yeah, so the research that we've got now is trying to see if there is a percentage weight of horse to rider.
Right.
We have in the Pony Club, we have always had a weight limit for our members who play Pony Club games, so Gymkhana. Right. There's always been a weight limit. The children have always had to be weighed. You've got to be careful though, if you're going to start with, especially with young people, you've got this fine line to walk. You've got to make sure that they're not too heavy for the size of the horse they're riding, but at the same time you've got to be aware of the effect on them if you suddenly say to them, you're too fat to ride your pony. You have to be very careful, especially when you're assessing, and some of our assessments involves swapping horses. You have to tread a very delicate line there, because remember, although we're all concentrating on the horses' welfare, as a youth organisation, we have the welfare of our members to think of as well. So we have specialists, we have safeguarding specialists who, if there really was a problem, we would involve our safeguarding specialists to talk to the family as a whole.
Oh, that's so good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good to hear. It's you're talking about welfare with your members. What other non-riding activities do you promote?
Oh, you can have a non-riding membership of the Pony Club, where you can concentrate on what we call our badge system. So we have something like 42 achievement badges that you don't have to sit on a pony for. From bandaging to teeth, to online safety, to human first aid, horse first aid. There are lots and lots and lots of things that the Pony Club do that you don't actually have to either own a pony for or indeed touch a pony for. So if you've got a child who's horse mad but hyperallergenic, there is an activity for them to do. And we've got various other activities that we try and involve the children in. So one of the Pony Club competitions is tetrathlon, where they run, swim, shoot and ride, and we do a non-riding section of that, which is very encouraging for perhaps the slightly more nervous rider. We have a national non-riding competition for that, which we do at Morton Morrell, which has often led into Olympic pentathlon. So we do a non-riding section of that.
I was going to say, a lot of the riders that I've grown up with said they started at Pony Club.
Yeah.
So is it easy to spot these amazing riders who have got the star talent?
Now, that's really interesting. So I have a bit of a theory about this.
Okay.
A bit of a pet theory. I have no evidence on this. Saying that an international rider started at Pony Club is a bit like saying an international swimmer started at their local swimming club. Everyone starts somewhere, don't they? And then some of them carry on. So every Olympic swimmer was a member of their local swimming club at one point. Every Olympic rider was probably a member of their local pony club. It's an automatic system, but no, you don't spot them all that early.
No.
What we do is offer a variety of activities, and I'm an advocate for not specialising too early. So I think members should be doing everything until they're about 18. If they get to that age and they want to then specialise in show jumping or dressage, then that's fine. But you can also specialise in horse care. Once you get to a certain level, we have combined tests to a certain level, and then you can take your horse care all the way up to the equivalent of BHS stage 4, just doing horse care.
What was your journey? How did you get into this?
I rode in a riding school. Nowadays we have a centre membership, so riding clubs are pony club centres, and that's what I would have done, but they didn't exist in my day.
Right.
And I was just very keen, and I had a very good riding instructor whose sons rode and had 2 nice ponies, but they weren't that keen on doing anything, so I nicked their ponies and went off to Pony Club. But
And you've just hit on a really good point, is a good instructor has such influence on you. Like a teacher at school, you always remember the best ones, and the ones that not only encouraged you, taught you, but believed in you a little bit and picked up on when you were feeling a little bit nervous, especially with riding, because we all go through that at times. So you're an assessor now. What are you seeing with the children that are riding? Are they more confident nowadays? Are they more anxious nowadays?
They are more anxious. They're more anxious of having fault found. You have to be very careful in your assessments at the end of a test day, especially if you've got someone who wasn't of the standard on the day.
Right.
You also have to be very sensitive of the fact that when you get to I tend to assess at the senior level, and by then the parents have made a huge financial commitment, and some of those young people want to use their Pony Club B and A test to bounce them into another career. You can only assess what you see on the day, and if it's not of standard on the day, you can be putting a wrinkle in their perceived career path. So you do have to be very careful that you maintain the standard, but at the same time, you encourage them to move forward. We're moving to a much more modular system so that we dovetail in with the BHS system better. So it means that you can quite often a candidate come forward for a whole test, and they may just not be of standard on the day of one section, but they can still retain the sections they were of standard on. So we've changed our system a little bit to match that.
Okay, yeah, that's a really good point. You can affect someone's mood quite easily by
the long journey home.
Yeah, that's really well put. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So you're a committee member for South Norfolk, which is local to here.
Yeah.
You're a coach, you're an assessor. Tell us about how you became involved in Redwings.
Well, my youngest daughter, Lydia, had a pony on loan that bolted quite a lot. We didn't know it was like this. It had come from a very good source and it bolted. And she became very nervous. And then one of my friends, who I'd coached to A test actually, said to me, there's a Redwings pony. She was working for Redwings at the time, said to me there was a Redwings pony. And we went and saw Toby, who was ginger. He was at a home in Bury St Edmunds, and because of the quarantine protocol, it was better for him to come directly to us rather than go back to the Redwings Centre and then come out again. So he came to us and he was absolutely fantastic. And then he went from us to a similar home where a child had become very nervous. He did a lot of putting the rubber band back on for children, Toby. And so we became guardians, and I've supported them ever since. I buy a lot of raffle tickets, can I tell you? Never won anything, but I buy a lot of raffle tickets. And we stay involved because they are actually one of our very local equestrian charities. And I feel very strongly I want to support an equestrian charity that believe that there is life after a disaster, that when a pony comes in, if it's healthy and able to go out and have a useful life with a guardian, that's what I don't want them just sitting around in a field waiting to die. You know, horses are bred to be ridden, they're not pets, and they need a job. They like to have their brains used, and I like to support an organisation that believes in that too, that an animal that's still got a useful life, that could be adopted or, do you agree with me? Or have a useful full life after they have had their circumstances improved. I think that's quite important, actually.
What, apart from obesity, what other challenges are you seeing with the horses nowadays? Is it... go ahead.
Well, this is my personal opinion. I think that some young people compete too much and learn too little.
Right.
They can be off doing competitions all the time, which doesn't leave any time for learning.
Right.
I think that there should be perhaps some legislation. I know some of the disciplines say you can only enter so many competitions on a single day.
Right.
To avoid that overuse. What else are we seeing? We're seeing a change, and I've done this myself. So where I keep my horse, it's very heavy clay. And traditionally in the winter, we've kept them in and we've turned them out maybe on an all-weather school for a bit. Now the science tells us that's not necessarily the best way to keep them. So this time, for the first year, my friend and I gritted our teeth at the mud, and her little pony and my horse lived together, and we have changed the way we have kept them. We have had them out much more. We have rugged them much less, because horses keep warm by huddling and fluffing up their coats and allowing a thermal layer of warm air in their undercoat. They quite often have a long overcoat and a fluffy undercoat, a bit like husky, and they'll fluff it up and then warm the air around the undercoat. And what happens when you put a rug on, you flatten the whole thing, and there's nowhere for that to come out. Also, the scientific research that we have has indicated that overheating of tendons and ligaments can cause problems in the long term. So everybody's been very good at calling ligaments, forgetting that there's a big ligament that runs all the way down the spinal column. And so putting loads and loads of rugs on means you're heating that all the time. So we've seen a change in rug less, feed less whole grains, feed much more forage, turn out more, companionship. I think we've always known horses were herd animals. They've always wanted a companion. They don't actually mind if it's not another equine, except that if you see two horses together, they'll often do mutual grooming, which I think is a comfort for them. I don't know, I can't talk to my horse, but I think he is happier being kept the way he is. And I've changed that quite late in his life, and he's thriving. And all he has is chaff and grass, and he doesn't need any more, looking at the size of him.
Where would you advise listeners and viewers today to go to get this advice? You're saying the science advice. Where would you go, if they're not members of the Pony Club and getting it through yourselves, where would they go to get it?
Well, there's quite a lot online. Be careful online. Make sure you're picking something up from the Horse and Hound Forum, British Equine Medical Association, Veterinary Association, BEVM, they're very good. Quite often your local veterinary practice will give you a talk. Our local ones have done talks on laminitis, worming, what else? Teeth care, which is very important that people forget about. So your local veterinary practice will often be doing some lectures on that sort of thing. You can look up on the British Horse Society website all your local registered coaches. Now, they're coaches who work professionally as equestrian coaches. So I'm a registered coach, but I'm not on that register because I don't coach professionally. I just teach Pony Club. So, and any of your local coaches would be very happy for you to phone them up and say, you know, you don't know me, but I've got this problem. Because we're all looking to make the welfare of every horse better every day.
I think it's been insightful and a real breath of fresh air to hear you coming what I thought might be more traditional, and you've just smashed that. So I want to say absolutely thank you for updating us on the Pony Club today, and your enthusiasm for the subject and the well-being of horses. So if we can,
thank you for having me.
thank you so much, Helen.
Thank you.
Thank you.